Anyway, we were chilling around, we were scrolling around on YouTube, we found the video made by Vars called the 5 old champions that need to come back to League of Legends. So we're talking about old champions. Now the only old champion I want to see is old Fiora and AP Mastery. Yeah, these are the two champions I want to see. AP Mastery, very simple. You build 6 Rabadons, you press Alpha Strike, which is your Q, you get Pentakill. Fiora, exactly same thing, but on the reverse. You go full AD, King 6 Bloodthirsters, maybe you throw in Infinite Edge in there, press your ultimate, the World's Dance, you get Pentakill. Anyway, let's see if Vars agrees with us.
Okay, so today I wanted to do something a bit more personal since understandably the Everything Wrong With series gives off a kind of negative vibe and I like to juggle a mixture of happy stuff with sad stuff, so what we're going to be doing today is a list of champions whose old versions I want to see brought back into the game.
Wait, what was it? Cancer? Was it? Hold on. Why got double speed though?
Anything wrong with the current iterations, it's just nostalgia, you know how it goes.
What? So if I click my mouse and hold it, the speed is doubled? Since when? Bro, what is going on? That's not the planet I want to live in. Anyway, he's saying about making a happy video. Let's see, the thing is, I will not be happy because these old champions are not coming back.
So what we're going to be doing today...
What? Yeah, I'm not even shitting you, chat. Look at that. Huh?
Is a list of champions whose old versions I want to see brought back into the game. Not that there's anything wrong with the current iterations, it's just nostalgia, you know how it goes. I think we can all agree that the effort Riot puts into reimagine...
That's not the YouTube my ancestors fought for. Just saying. Anyway, yeah.
Is a list of champions whose old versions I want to see brought back into the game. Not that there's anything wrong with the current iterations, it's just nostalgia, you know how it goes.
Yep.
I think we can all agree that the
Also, on the subject of old champions, bring old cat back, please.
effort Riot puts into reimagining old champions is praiseworthy, especially considering they have to do all of that without much hope of turning a profit, given that all of us already have the champion skins and whatnot. Essentially, it's a labor of love, and I can give credit where credit is due. 90% of all VGUs, mid-scopes, gameplay adjustments, and whatnot turn out for the better. For anyone curious about the 10% that don't, I have a fun little video for you to check out after.
Failed reworks. Yeah, LeBlanc, Asol, and Rengar. Very accurate, because LeBlanc's rework was absolute dog shit. Rengar. Bro, I need to find that fucking animation. Lol, Rengar rework Q animation. That shit was bonkers. Because what Rengar would be doing, he would be fucking diving you. His Q is basically he's taking his blade and stabbing you. With that rework, he was fucking diving into the pool. You know, he was just diving in there. Cannot seem to find it, chat. If you will find it, let me know.
After this one. That being said, I feel like some old champions were by no means causing trouble in their current state. Could they have struggled with balance issues or maybe come across too one-dimensional than people are comfortable with? Perhaps. But these are 5 champs that I think would be able to survive.
Irelia, old Irelia was disgusting. Graves, oh yeah, we had old Graves. Volibear, oh yeah, Volibear, only one reason why I bring back Volibear, his dance. Rise, my question stands on Rise. Which Rise? Rise had over 25 reworks, I'm not kidding you. And old Aatrox, yeah, that was broken.
Survive in the
because with the new Aatrox, what we got is a Revenge 2.0. You get the idea. It's like disgusting.
current day environment with maybe a tweak or two. For the sake of clarification, I want these old champions back while still having the current versions of them if I could have my cake and eat it too.
And have the current versions of them. So, new Volibear with the old Volibear dance. I like where this is going.
After you're done watching this, be sure to let me know what other champions you think should come back, but without further ado, let's get started. First on my list, and this should come to no one's surprise, but old Aatrox.
Honor will not save them.
Listen, hear me out. I'm not part of the hating new Aatrox bandwagon. I actually believe the current iteration is a spectacularly designed champion from an objective standpoint. However, Aatrox was actually the first champion I ever mained in League way back in Season 5. Most of you know me as a top main, but I used to be a jungle Aatrox one-trick back when we had stated.
Yeah, old Aatrox jungle was disgusting. Imagine Zax's E, Zax's jump, and currently I feel like it's 15-second cooldown. Aatrox had the same mechanic. But he was AD version of it. That was nice. Bro, what's going on?
Devour, and it got me all the way to Platinum before I switched to Fiora top following her rework, which I really should make an episode on now that I mention it. Aatrox's old iteration wasn't exactly a bad champion in the same ballpark as old Poppy or old Sion, who was very
Hear me out, chat. Old Akali. Your ultimate has 3 dashes. Your Q is point and click ability. Your E is just spinning blades around you. Imagine Kata picking up her blades right now. Also, Kata had the same ability before the rework. And the most fun thing about old Akali was her dub, her shroud. Now there's a cringe kind of smoke circle. You walk in it and they still see your silhouette if they're dealing damage to you. Old Akali shroud, straight up huge ass circle. Under enemy turret, straight up you're hugging enemy turret, throw in the fucking circle, yeah, the shroud, you're invisible. Straight up, you are invisible. That was fun.
Straightforward and to the point. The reasons they discarded his previous template and went with an entirely new one was 1. For a more thematically accurate depiction of the champion, to which they definitely succeeded in, new Aatrox feels way more raid bossy compared to the old one, and 2. Because there were so many champions just like him. Jax, old.
But, I mean, maybe he has a point, yeah, because he did remind, he had a bit of a shenanigans of a Jax. But a bit. Now what we have is second version of Riven, like Stone and Seraphine. Also, how is it Jax? Because Aatrox's old W was toggle on. You toggle dub, you are dealing bazillion of damage, but you're losing a bit of health. Toggle off, I'm pretty sure you are life stealing, like having 5 fucking bloodthirsters, but you deal less damage. I don't see any other champion who has a mechanic like that.
Old Irelia, old Aatrox, Tryndamere, old Xin Zhao, Master Yi, all of them were made in pretty much the same way. They were auto attackers, each with a dash type ability, a basic attack empowerment, and then some kind of utility and/or crowd control. Aatrox's gimmick was, of course, battle healing, only instead of through damaging abilities, it was mostly through autos. He was also, I believe, the first champion to have a stance change. Bloodthirst enabled every third auto attack to restore a chunk of.
Yeah, that's the one. Bro, what is this cancer, bro? Why YouTube not YouTubing? Cough.
Health. It used to be a flat amount plus bonus AD that tripled if he was below half, but was changed to missing health instead. The other stance, Blood Price, made it so every third attack would instead do a huge amount of bonus damage at the cost of some HP, although just like Blood Price, after the mini rework they gave him in 7.5, they took the health cost away. I get that losing HP while attacking sounds both counterintuitive and counterproductive, seeing as that was Aatrox's only form of sustenance and not a very reliable one. But the idea of storing solid damage to increase your combat strength always appealed to me. Bloodwell used to give you a persistent attack speed buff based on the amount of blood you stored, but they eventually changed it to where at max Bloodwell you achieve Blood Rush, providing that same attack speed buff and some bonus AD on top of that. This was to give him trade combo pressure, something he didn't really have back then. Said passive change also enabled him to have a more functional mid-battle power spike, which was endemic to all duelist champions. Prevailing Wisdom is aware of the back then.
How the f do I disable this thing when I'm holding my fucking mouse and it gets double the speed? I'm straight up getting cancer right now, what's going on? Anyway, speaking of Aatrox's passive, his old passive was straight up Guardian Angel. So that was fun. Because you could dive at level 2 easily.
Said passive change also enabled him to have a more functional mid-battle power spike, which was endemic to all duelist-type champions. Prevailing Wisdom is aware of the short-lived yet very productive timeline for Aatrox's mid-scope, quote-unquote, which was a big reason why there was such backlash over his VGU. They fixed what was wrong with the champion and made him a veritable stable duelist and then later split pusher up in top lane. But like I said earlier, the issue was that there were too many characters just like him. They turned Irelia and Xin Zhao from sustained damage to more of a diver type playstyle, and they made Aatrox an ability caster, just so that we didn't have 5 different versions of Master Yi. I don't know, for some reason Tryndamere's playstyle never really spoke to me. I play him every so often, but old Aatrox was a lot more in my speed. His Q was a decent mobility tool for engaging and escaping, the stance change effect
Yeah, look at this Q, bro. And that was the idea of Aatrox jungle.
never really spoke to me. I play him every so often, but old Aatrox was a lot more in my speed.
Look at this shit.
He was a decent mobility tool
Boom.
for engaging and escaping.
And in the center you knock up.
The effect was also really neat, having the option to choose between more damage or recovering health. Blades of Torment was a pedestrian, albeit decent neutral poke tool. There was a bit more nuance and technique to Aatrox compared to Tryndamere, who just turns his brain off, presses R, and spams right click until you die, or he does. Aatrox did that too, but there was some semblance of control and finesse. Would be nice to play the old Aatrox one more time. Next champion will be Rise.
Which version of Rise? Because he had 25 versions. Bro, can I fucking click the button without you double clicking? Hello? What the fuck is this cancer? Bro. Is there a button? Yeah, F button. Fuck it, I'm dropping the mouse, I'm using the keyboard. Only using the keyboard. I'm done. Space.
Specifically the Rise before the one we have now. I know he had like 20 reworks, so I don't blame you if you're confused about which one.
I'll show you unpleasant.
Functionally, the Rise back then wasn't all that different from our current one. Abilities did bonus damage based on mana. He had a basic projectile that did damage, a point and click root, and a splashing projectile that could help with wave clear and AoE damage. The
So basically EQ, EQ, EQ.
cool thing was that
Is here Rengar? Found the Rengar. Hold on. So you're just giving me the title, but I need a picture of it, not a fucking video. If that's the video, that's going to be sad. Although I spotlight Brazil. Okay, hold on. That's his passive, hold on. yeah, that's the one. Spotlight Brazil, YouTube. That is Rengar's rework. We're looking at this queue right now. Is he speaking Brazilian? He is speaking Brazilian. This shit is getting better and better. Yeah? Yeah? Again. Everything is pretty much the same, but his Q. But his Q, pay attention to his Q right now. And there would be a moment where he would get stuck in his diving animation. So you would get diving Rengar running across the map. Shit was funny.
That upon casting an ability 5 times, Ryze would get a temporary buff, kind of like Aatrox's Blood Rush actually, gaining a shield and then causing all ability casts during this time to lower in cooldown
Yeah, we're good,
equal to the cooldown of his Q. So with proper ability casting rotation, you could effectively spam your Q, W, and E for big DPS. He was the magic damage 80 carry essentially, and with Spellflux being able to shred magic resist by up to 36%, he would do a ton of damage in teamfights or even against one person. For more AoE damage though, he had Desperate Power, gaining free cooldown reduction as well as a buff that gave bonus movement speed, Spell Vamp which is lifesteal for only abilities, and all spells would do splash damage.
Spell Vamp. I haven't heard that name in ages. I mean, sure, we have what, Omnivamp right now, but f*** Omnivamp, we need Spell Vamp.
For half the amount to nearby enemies. I should note that Desperate Power's cooldown would also decrease from Arcane Mastery. Towards the mid to late game when you had ample mana, his ultimate cooldown was effectively only like 10 seconds at most. Obviously, there was a clear problem with old Ryze. He was a stat checker. Even after they made Overload his skill shot instead of point and click, playing Ryze was very simple. Charge up Arcane Mastery, then tactically mash on the keyboard to where you could feasibly chain root a single enemy and machine gun them to pieces. At 40%
If that's not fun, I don't know what is.
CDR, Rune Prison would turn into an 8.4 second cooldown, meaning you could press W, then press Q and E, which would refresh the.
Does the Morgana still have Spell Vamp? I'm pretty sure that only Spell Vamp works against monsters, I believe.
W so you can press it again, which would enable you to use Q again immediately, which would refresh E cooldown to repeat the cycle over and over and over again. There was basically no counterplay. Who cares if Q is a skill shot when you can chain root whoever you want? Rune Prison used to last 1 3/4 of a second before being nerfed to 1.4, so he was the ultimate anti-melee champion. Other mages and marksmen could still attack him, but tanks and bruisers had no chance. Thanks to his mana scaling, most Ryze players went Rod of Ages into Frozen Heart for equal parts damage and durability, a balanced nightmare for certain. It wasn't a very healthy design format, but then again, neither is the current one. What I did like about this version of Ryze was that he was a dedicated.
Ryze wasn't a healthy champion design back then, but realistically, the beauty of League of Legends back then was the idea that nothing was healthy. So if everything is broken, nothing is broken. Holy shit, that game was so fun back then. Now it's stale.
Dedicated battle mage, and not just any dedicated battle mage, he was the dedicated battle mage.
True.
Pure, unadulterated DPS, which is why he was so popular in pro play. Current Ryze is also a battle mage, but kind of an awkward one. He's less of a machine gun and more of a shotgun in my opinion, where he shoots you with a round of spells before waiting a second or two and doing it again. He's more consistent in DPM at the cost of less DPS, but I've always expressed how I don't understand the point of Realm Warp on a champion like him. A very supportive team coordination ability on a battle mage. I can appreciate something like this on an enchanter, but not on a class meant to shred the enemy team to pieces. Naturally, old Ryze is gonna need some fine tuning. Bringing him back in his current state as is would just repeat all the problems he had back then, but I
Mauricio, I can't move it anymore. Mauricio.
That's fucking Balwakai right now.
I always preferred that iteration of Ryze as it painted a very clear picture of what his playstyle and win conditions were. Continuing on, we
Absolutely
have
disgusting.
I do not pity cowards.
Unlike the first two where there's a very distinct playstyle difference between new and old, Volibear is not that different from his old version in the grand scheme of things. Full disclosure, Voli's VGU is to this day in my top 5 best reworks to ever exist, and will likely stay there forever. But similarly to Aatrox, I really enjoyed the period of time just before he got fixed up. I covered Majestic Roar in one of the removed abilities
Oh, we've seen this one. Yeah, we've seen this one.
episode, which I guess I'll be talking about again. Old Volibear was very stat checky, but he was closer to Darius than Tryndamere in that regard. While a very boring passive, I was a huge fan of Chosen of the Storm, as it never failed at catching opponents off guard when they thought you were at kill percent only for you to start regenerating a crap ton of health. Rolling Thunder was also a rather unique ability, as it would fling his target behind him, in some cases being more practical than simply stunning them in place like Udyr. But what really made this effective was the change to Majestic Roar, dealing bonus damage to enemies that are dashing or airborne, which he could force them into via his Q. Speaking of Majestic Roar, I already explained just how good an instant no cast time AoE knockback is, letting him basically say f you to anyone who heavily relied on dashes to do anything. If you reacted properly, you could interrupt Rengar mid-jump, you could stop Irelia mid-dash, preventing her from resetting Q even if she marked you, you could stop Tristana from escaping with Rocket Jump,
I'm pretty sure stopping Tristana is literally the only thing that stops Tristana in her rocket jump. I don't think even Malzahar's ultimate can stop Tristana jumping. Because as far as I'm concerned, with my experience in the past 20 years of playing this game, nothing stops Tristana when she's jumping. Not even silence. When I was playing Get and Jungle, I would Q Tristana, yeah, which implies she's silenced. She just jumps away. Like silence doesn't silence, you know?
Cancel Lee Sin's Resonating Strike, it was such a good move. A bit too good for how easy it was to use, but Volibear was bar none, one of the best counterpick champions.
Veigar wall stops her. No, that's not how it works. See, the thing is that it's a wall, but with rocket jump, you're just jumping over it. Like Mexicans jumping into America, you know? It's fucking classic.
Champions in the game. He was so good at beating the champions that beat everyone else, and like any juggernaut, he could do a lot of damage while being tanky thanks to Frenzy, doing a huge amount of damage, especially against enemies at low HP. For a basic trade combo, you would use Q to chase and fling them behind you, E for some damage, then wrap up with W before walking away. If you wanted to all in, you could use Thunderclaws to skyrocket your auto attack damage and repeat the same combo. Very easy champion that was extremely effective at countering hyper-mobile enemy teams. Of course, new Volibear is 10 times better and has more use cases, but I like simplicity, what can I say? Although I do play the current Volibear quite a bit.
We need Volibear. We need old Volibear dance back. Honestly, nothing beats old Volibear dance.
On the subject of simplicity, bring back old Graves please. Was he way too similar to Lucian? Yes, but damn it, I miss when he was an actual AD carry in bot lane. I'm biased, sue me. Everyone compared him to Lucian due to having pretty much the same exact kit, only Lucian was more offensive.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Graves was ADC. Yeah, I straight up forgot that fact that Graves was ADC. Before they implemented the idea of shotgun having only 2 shots.
And technical, while Graves had more resilience and was much easier to play.
Yep.
His old passive gave him bonus armor and magic resist whenever he dealt or took damage, stacking up to 10 times. Buckshot was a shotgun blast in a cone that did more damage if multiple bullets hit the same enemy, so almost exactly like Swain's current Q. Good for wave clear damage and was just overall a very solid ability, especially on a marksman. Smokescreen was the same back then as it is now, only instead of a slow on impact, it was a persistent slow. Quick Draw was a dash in a target direction that gave him bonus attack speed afterwards, and you could reduce the cooldown with every basic attack. So as you can see, Lucian and Graves followed the exact same formula. Q did damage, E was a dash with a cooldown refund mechanic, and W was a utility spell. His ultimate was collateral damage.
Wait, wasn't Corki on bot lane too? Yep, Corki was ADC originally, then they moved him to middle.
Concentrated long-range projectile that struck all enemies it came in contact with. Once again, very similar to Lucian's culling, only Lucian's did more damage over a longer period of time instead of instantly. As for modern day Graves, it's kind of a love him or hate him from most people.
Yep.
On one hand, I love the uniqueness of his design, and along with the fact that his shotgun behaves like an actual shotgun, but anecdotally, I used to always play Graves when I was autofilled AD carry thanks to how simple and efficient he was to play. Granted, there's
Did you play since season 1? Nope, I played since season 3.
far more room for skill expression and subsequently carry potential with the new Graves, and prior to the Marksman update in Preseason 6, AD carries were all very samey back then, so changes were necessary to set them apart from one another just like they did for duelists. Also, admittedly, old Graves was very generic. There was seldom any reason to play him over Ezreal, Lucian, or Caitlyn since the only thing separating him from them was Smokescreen, which isn't a very convincing selling point. At the same time, he was
Ultimate. Goodly, perfectly timed ultimate was setting Graves ADC apart. Because ultimate remains exactly the same.
wasn't a bad design by any means. Again, I'd like to point out that I'm very biased because I played the old Graves, but yeah, I think it would be nice to have old Graves back. Might just be in the minority though.
Not old Graves back, just remove the idea of double barrels in the shotgun. Sure, we're losing the gimmick, but don't know, I prefer the old Graves.
Last champion is Irelia.
There's no turning back.
Once more, I played the old Irelia far more compared to the current one. You can make fun of me for not liking hard champions, I don't care. New Irelia was a balanced nightmare for as long as I can remember. An argument can be made for the old one also being problematic, but the one difference between old and new Irelia is that old Irelia had way more reasonable limits than the new one. Old Irelia was, in my humble opinion, a shining example of how a champion can have a lot of carry and frankly outplay potential without needing 50 pages of text on her abilities. Passive gave her bonus tenacity when outnumbered in battle, which may come off as very situational.
Without needing 50 pages of text on the abilities. Zed? Sure, Zed has a bit of more text than old Irelia, but still? Riven? I mean, another champion with lots of potential for outplays, just to name a few.
But for a mobility and auto attack centric champion, it can come in handy.
And also, let's not forget my favorite, Garen. So much potential for outplay. Bro, there's nothing you can do in there.
More than you think. Blade Surge is identical to old Blade Surge, only it did more damage on account of you only being allowed to use it once on a champion. I'm aware that her current Blade Surge does a lot less damage, effectively forcing it to land Flawless Duet and Vanguard's Edge for more resets, but the damage isn't the concerning part, it's the sheer amount of in-combat mobility she has access to. With old Irelia, she couldn't perma-chase you unless there were minions nearby, and even if there were, Once she used Q on a champion, you were in the clear to put distance between you and her for at least a few seconds, making it a lot more fair of an ability. Hidden Style gave her on-hit true damage and healing, which would definitely need some kind of update to it if she were to come back in this hypothetical scenario. Now as for Equilibrium Strike, many people had problems with this attack, myself included. You basically had a point-and-click 2-second stun, which is insane to have on a duelist type champion.
What about old Sion? Sion also had that, but the only difference between old Aurelia stun and old Sion's stun is that Sion's stun was a ranged ability, point and click. Like old Warwick ultimate, you just see a champion in the horizon, you press a button, that's it, is fucking over. Same thing was happening with Sion, that shit was fun.
Like Aurelia, the condition of having less % health than a target made it extremely risky for you to attack a low HP Aurelia, as she could stun you and then burst you down with W, ultimate, and Q if you were also low on health but still had more than her. Conceptually, it was meant to be a comeback type ability, but it was just too effective for how easy an activation condition it had. So in this case, I actually like Flawless Duet a lot more in application. I guess you can say I prefer Aurelia's old passive Q and W with their current E and ultimate, although her old ultimate wasn't that bad. I just don't think it's a good idea to give a champion who can build on-hit items infinite dashes. Riven gets a billion dashes because she's an ability caster, she doesn't have the luxury of building on-hit. Fiora is also allowed to dash a ton because 1. Lunge is a much shorter dash range, 2. She has to actively strike you from certain sides to get legitimate payoff, and 3. She needs AD, not on-hit items. Aurelia gets to build on-hit while diving you like a Lee Sin. Of the 4 horsewomen of top lane, she's arguably the most difficult to shut down when she gets ahead by virtue of her incredible advantage state. You can't kite her unless you have some kind of easy get-offing tool like Alistar Headbutt or Janna Monsoon, and even then she can probably still catch up to you. Old Aurelia was a stat checker, but I'd rather face a stat checker than an overloaded champion, since at least I know for a fact there's a way to shut them down. I just think that the old Aurelia was more controlled than the new one. Anyways, that's it for today's list. There were a few others I wanted to talk about, like
Old Mordekaiser, oh my god, which one though? The one with dragons was fucking bonkers, not gonna lie. There was a meta where Mordekaiser was ADC. You think Graves ADC? Sounds sus. You think Corki ADC? Sounds sus. Dog, we had a moment for a couple of months, I believe, where Mordekaiser was fucking ADC. The strategy was borderline simple. Use play safe, you play Gucci till the first dragon spawns, yeah? You build a bit of items, you get ability power, first dragon spawns, you kill it, and you have dragon on your team. Literally like Yori has his maiden, as a Mordekaiser you have a fucking dragon flying around with you. And that is super.
Gold Mordekaiser, but I only have room for 5, so these are the ones I'll go with. Let me know if there are any other champions you think would be nice to see again. As always though, if you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you left a like and subscribed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my other video on failed reworks if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Nice. Nice, yeah, I'm happy I saw this video. Vars producing quality content as always, and rework video, yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll need to watch it next time. Because there was Aurelian Soul, yeah, there was LeBlanc and Rengar. I need to watch this video basically because of the Rengar's Q. Especially when he'll get stuck in this fucking dive animation. That shit was hilarious. Anyway, that's the video.